musculoskeletal disorders. So this is the introductory lecture to musculoskeletal disorders. So let's go to the first slide. So we'll be looking at disorders of the musculoskeletal system. They are mainly divided into two processes, or disease processes and trauma. For trauma, we'll cover mainly fractures and dislocations. We'll look at a little bit at musculoligamentous tears and strains, a little bit of them, but we'll mainly focus on the fractures and dislocations. Then for disease processes, we'll mainly look at rheumatological diseases and degenerative diseases. Touch a little bit about infection, but malignance would be covered in the cancer module. So we've got a specific module that looks at malignance. So we will not look at them as far as the musculoskeletal system, but it's fair to say that the musculoskeletal system to some extent gets affected by cancer processes. So let's now look at the burden of disease, musculoskeletal disease. 28%, a staggering number. 28%, 6.1 million Australians have arthritis or other musculoskeletal conditions. This is a significant number. Of these, 14%, nearly half of them, have got back problems. And 8% have got osteoarthritis, 3% osteoporosis, and 2% rheumatoid arthritis. Again, these are all staggering numbers. So this is a significant burden of disease. Almost 1/3 of the population is affected by musculoskeletal conditions as we speak. Then the federal government spends $5.7 billion in Australian dollars on musculoskeletal disorders. This is statistics from 2008-2009. I would not know what they are spending right now, but obviously the expenditure tends to grow over time. So unfortunately, the Australian Institute of Health doesn't have current statistics on these figures, but this gives us a picture of how much money is spent on arthritis and other musculoskeletal conditions. That's a significant amount of money. So if we look at pictures now of this burden of disease, look at 28% of Australians affected. The majority have got back problems, osteoarthritis, osteoporosis, and rheumatoid arthritis. The most interesting thing here on this picture is that if you look at the picture on the bottom, that is the picture here, the government spends more money on osteoarthritis than on back problems, yet back problems affect double the number of people as compared to osteoarthritis. The reason being that osteoarthritis is sort of a chronic problem, and most of the back problems are sort of acute and they can be treated, and then people move on and keep on with their daily life. But osteoarthritis is a degenerative condition, so it tends to deteriorate over time, and we spend a lot of money on drugs, medications, and looking after patients with osteoarthritis in the community as far as activities of daily living are concerned. So we also have rheumatoid arthritis, a significant amount of money spent as compared to the number of people affected, same as osteoporosis. Then the rest of the musculoskeletal disorders do come under there's a significant amount of money spent on them too. But this is just an interesting picture in terms of how back problems, and we spend more on chronic conditions than on acute conditions. This picture here sums up probably this whole lecture in terms of what is it that is causing the musculoskeletal problems that we worry about. So in terms of from an evolutionary perspective, we started by fighting hard to stand up straight, and then we achieved that. Now we are fighting hard to not stand up straight. And our body has to evolve over time to be able to cater for that, and eventually probably will be looking like that guy who's sitting in front of the computer eventually with kyphosis, and our body gets adapt to that process eventually. But we know for sure that our body is a machine, and as a machine it should be put to work, and if it's not working the body degenerates, and this is more meaningful for the musculoskeletal system than any other organ in the human body. So if you are not using muscles, they disappear. If you are not using bones, they become weak. So the musculoskeletal system, to a larger extent, much of the problems can be traced back to this picture of evolution. Now, we need to remind of ourselves the anatomy and physiology of the musculoskeletal system. It might be useful if you've forgotten to grab an anatomy and physiology textbook, refresh your understanding of the musculoskeletal system as far as its structure and function is concerned, as well as the assessment process. So just as a snapshot here, we've got bone cells are called osteoblasts, which build matrix, and osteocytes, which maintain the matrix, and osteoclasts, which destroy bone cells or resorb and remodel them so that they can become new. And we have got the bone matrix, mainly composed of collagen fibers and proteoglycans, and they become into a bone structure or the cement bone structure because of calcium and phosphate in the bones. We have got long and short bones. Then muscles are called muscle cells are called myoblasts, which grow and mature to become myocytes, and then they can group together to become an endomysium, and they can group together to become a perimysium, and they can group together to become a whole muscle, which we call epimysium. When we go to the butcher to buy meat, we usually buy the epimysium. Now, muscles are involved in contraction, and they do so by excitation contraction coupling, and the units that do contract are called motor units. Then we've got the joints tying everything together so that the musculoskeletal is flexible, and we've got three main types of joints: synovial joints, cartilaginous joints, and fibrous joints. Synovial joints are the most freely mobile ones with a wider range of motion, so they move around a little bit more. Cartilaginous are a bit flexible but not as much, only move in one plane. And then fibrous joints are just join bones together like the sutures lines in your head, on your skull, and those bones don't move. Now, so the most interesting part of this lecture would be to find out about some of these diseases that we've been talking about, the degenerative diseases. So look at the X-ray here. I will remind you of this X-ray when we cover the disease, but it will be interesting if you can figure out what caused this X-ray. What does it tell us? What does it tell us about the patient? Is it an anger management issue? But it will be interesting what sort of condition causes this X-ray. Then this one, all talk but no substance. Compare picture A and picture B. One is normal, one is abnormal. What sort of condition causes this picture to occur? Then these bones here, if you look at them from the left side to the right side, you can see that there is very close contact of these bones together. So should this be normal? Or if not, what sort of condition causes this bone-on-bone contact? Then here, we've got a fracture here. So this person has got a fracture, and what sort of, we'll discuss conditions which causes these fractures here. Here, what sort of a condition would cause this kyphosis that we can see picture A and picture B? That's this X-ray of the person in picture A. What sort of condition causes this to occur? So it will be interesting as we go along the lectures to be able to understand these X-rays and understand where they come from and what sort of conditions cause them. As part of your readings in physiology, anatomy and physiology, would be interesting for you guys also to know, because we'll refer to these hormones which are here as far as the musculoskeletal system are concerned. We'll refer to two main nutrients, calcium and phosphorus, and then we'll talk about calcitonin, what does it do. We'll talk about vitamin D, parathyroid hormone, growth hormone, glucocorticoid, estrogen, and androgen. These hormones are important for the musculoskeletal system. Just as a snapshot, I would say calcitonin is responsible for deposition of calcium in bones and maintains bones, while vitamin D helps in absorption of calcium from the GI2 system. Parathyroid hormone maintains calcium levels in blood. Growth hormone, of course, stimulates growth of bone cells. Glucocorticoids suppress bone growth. Estrogen and androgens help to maintain strong bones. So they stimulate osteoblasts as well to secrete matrix, and osteoclast to secrete bone matrix and maintain the strength of bones. So all these hormones work together